Hello BookTube, this is Weekly Reads. My reading week has been split between a really bizarre weekend and the highlight of my week, which was my week reading 11 volumes of Demon Slayer by Koyoharu Gotouge. I read volumes 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and the final volume, 23. Demon Slayer is a manga series set in the Taisho period, or the Taisho era, 1912 to 1926. It is a story of a young man named Tanjiro Kamado, who one day he goes down the mountain to sell some charcoal when a demon attacks his family, slaughtering everyone but his sister Nezuko, whom he turns into a demon. When Tanjiro returns, Nezuko attacks him, but he prevents her from tasting his blood. During the fight with Nezuko, a member of the Demon Slayer Corps, society dedicated to hunting down and destroying demons, arrives and saves Tanjiro from Nezuko and intends to kill Nezuko, but Tanjiro defends his sister and convinces the Demon Slayer Giyu to allow her to live, and Giyu then invites Tanjiro to join the Demon Slayer Corps. So for 2 years, Tanjiro trains and Nezuko sleeps. Once Tanjiro becomes a Demon Slayer, he and Nezuko go on quests hunting down and slaying demons. And they are joined by a number of other Demon Slayers, most notably Zenitsu and Inosuke, and the 12 Hashira, the elite of the, or the Hashira, the elite of the Demon Slayers. Their goal is to defeat the demon Muzan Kitsubuji, who is the first demon, who is the progenitor of all other demons. He desires perfect immortality and the elimination of what weaknesses he has. And he basically makes strong demons to defend himself and to try to see if they can evolve past him, and then he'd eat them and gain their abilities. So the volumes I read encompass 3 arcs. It starts with the continuation of the Swordsmith Village arc, in which Tanjiro and Nezuko have gone to the village of the swordsmiths who create the demon-slaying swords that the Corps uses. With them is a demon slayer named Genya, as well as 2 Hashira, Mitsuri and Muichiro. 2 upper rank demons. So Muzan has 12 subordinates who are stronger than the other demons. 6 of them, 7 through 12, are the lower ranked, although they're like lower rank 1 instead of number 7, and then the upper ranks, which is 6 to 1. So the 4 and 5, Hentingu and Gyoko, attack the village. Muichiro fights Gyoko, while Tanjiro, Nezuko, Genya, and Mitsuri, when she returns to the village, take on Hentingu. And it's a really amazing arc. I really enjoyed it. The second arc is a training arc where the Hashira are trying to improve their skills for the final battle and to train the Demon Slayers, the lower ranks, a bit more thoroughly as well for the final battle. And then the final arc is that final battle, which takes place in Muzen's Infinity Castle. After the leader of the Demon Slayers and a demon independent of Muzen come together to prepare a little trap for him. And that is amazing. Kind of how everything's set up, the extended conflict with the remaining Kazuki, the 12 demons that Muzen has as his chief subordinates. It's amazing. So yeah, in that ending, I cried like twice. It was really amazing. So let me find you some images to show you that and that. So yeah, I had a blast with this. And then here's some. But one thing about Demon Slayer is that Gotouge is not. They are very brutal to their characters. Very few actually survive the final battle. That's that double page spread. Let me see here. And there's Muichiro. Oh yeah, I want to get that one scene. So here's a Gyoko. And there's Mitsuri rescuing Tanjiro. But there's okay, notes in the next one. There's this one amazing scene that I just really want to show you. So there's that, which is awesome. Oh, there's that. Because Nezuko, she's an amazing character who does not she is wonderful. But yeah, just that scene where Nezuko overcomes the demon's weakness to sunlight, and that is it's amazing. And then there's Muzen knowing that it's about time for the final battle. And here's Zenitsu having a fit. Okay. Me do some more. So there's Muzin confronting the leader of the Demon Slayers. And then yeah, I had a blast with this. So I've gone on a bit too long. So and so definitely, if you would like to read a really good series, Demon Slayer is really good. I loved it. Okay, so now moving back to this weekend, since reading, pretty much finishing off Demon Slayer was my goal for my reading week. That left last Friday and that weekend a bit free for with a lot of options. And I had a lot of options that I mentioned last week. And I did actually dip into all of them. It was very bell heavy, disappointingly so. So I first went with Soul Mountain by Gao Xingjian, translated by Mabel Lee. So this is a autobiographical novel written after Gao was misdiagnosed with lung cancer. The story is split into two narratives. One told in the second person, so that character is Yu, who is traveling around looking for Lingshan Mountain, a soul mountain. He's looking for a place to belong, and he doesn't feel comfortable in the city. He wants to go back to the village, to the countryside. And he meets during his travels a woman, because she's never actually named. She's just referred to as she. And the other narrative is in the first person, I, who is more like, I think, closer to Gao. He's traveling after a misdiagnosis of lung cancer. So I had unfinished business with this book. I first picked it up in the early 2000s, shortly after Gao won the Nobel Prize in Literature, and I quickly bailed on it. This time around, I made it much further, about 75, 80 pages. I bailed at chapter 815. While the translation's prose is pretty, the book never fully captured my interest. I was bored for a good chunk of the book of what I read, so I did bail on it, and I'm glad I had another go at this. That I finished my business with this book, because I'm now comfortable to say that Soul Mountain isn't for me, and I can send it on its way, and I probably won't need to revisit it again. I say that now. But yeah, I did a few months ago, or maybe closer to a year ago, I did pick up a number of Nobel Prize winners that I had in my collection previously that I wanted to revisit, some that I had bailed on and some that I had managed to finish, although some of those I had actually bailed on first. But anyway, so after I bailed on Soul Mountain, I decided to read the other two literary fiction works that I had mentioned. I started with, because I thought I could finish both of them in that Saturday and then that Sunday. So I started off with A Visit from the Goon Squad by Jennifer Egan, and then Our Man in Iraq by Robert Perisic, translated from the Croatian by Will Firth. So, A Visit from the Goon Squad, which somehow won the Pulitzer Prize in 2011 or 2012, is a collection of interlinked short stories centered around a record label. I quickly grew to hate the book. That first story I really did not like it, and what I dipped into of the other stories, no. So, yeah, what was I thinking? And Our Man in Iraq is about a journalist who is pressured to give a cousin a job, and somehow or other that cousin, who probably has no experience, became the Baghdad correspondent for whatever the main character was working for. I did not like this book at all. Just no. I quickly bailed on that one too. So then I decided to go to science fiction, and I started on The Martian by Andy Weir. So this is a work of hard science fiction. It's was quite popular when it first came out, and it obviously, since Matt Damon's on the cover, was adapted into a movie. The novel is about a astronaut who is accidentally abandoned on Mars after an accident, in which the crew thought he had died, but he survived, and he then has to spend the next several years alone on Mars trying to survive while awaiting rescue. If The Martian hooks you, I think you will love the book. But if it starts to bug you, you're going to have issues with it. And I did. For one thing, part of the book is told in Watney's logs. And they just read as fiction. They didn't read as somebody in that situation because there were too many bits of exposition. That would somebody in Watney's position really go to the links to explain the scientific principles of what he's trying to do? No, he would just say whether or not, because he knows what he's talking about. He knows that whatever audience he eventually has will know. It's just a reader of a novel who would not know. And then once the story transitions into a more traditional narrative, when it looks at the NASA, those characters, they just felt wooden and just, average. Wooden and just artificial. So I really did not care for this either. And I quickly lost interest. So then on Sunday, I dipped back into, or I wanted to have a reread of A Little More Red Sun on the Human by Gillian Conoley. And I've had my ups and downs with this book, or with this collection. It's a new and selected short story, poetry collection. The first time I read it, I wasn't that impressed. The second time I read it, I liked it a bit more, or significantly more. And this time it was back to, so that didn't quite work out. Now, this reading week is going to be about as annoying as last weekend was, because I'm not entirely sure how much reading I'll be able to get done. So I don't know if I should try to pick something shorter for the weekend and then something else for the work week, or just something long that will consume the entire reading week. Because on Saturday, my mom's wanting to rearrange the furniture in the living room, as she is wont to do. And then on Sunday, I have to make some cupcakes, some buttercream frosting, and some lemon curd. Because it's close to my brother's birthday, and I decided I wanted to make him and my nieces and nephews some cupcakes. So that's what I'll be doing. So that's possibly going to take some time. But I do have some options, and I might change my mind because I'm not entirely sold on some of them. So I'm thinking of either rereading The Maleficent 7 by Cameron Johnston. This is an epic fantasy about 7 villains who reunite to defend the main character's village. So it's basically a rehash of the Magnificent Seven Samurai. The Darkness That Comes Before by R. Scott Bakker. This is the first volume in a long-running epic fantasy series that came out about 20 years ago. And I've had my ups and downs with this book, and it's about time I finally reread it and get on to the sequels. Or not, depending on how things turn out. I'm also really want to get to Empress by Miles Taylor. This is a book about Queen Victoria's relationship with India. And I would also like to get to Revolutionary Spring by Christopher Clark. This is a history of the revolutions of 1848. Now, speaking of history, I have had a very frustrating day. So last week, I switched my manga and history walls. You can see behind me, works of history. Originally, that would have been manga behind me. But I moved the manga over to the history wall and the history wall over here. And over the past week, I haven't really liked it. The history wall is now overcrowded. In fact, I was not able to get all of my history books onto these shelves. There's a pile of about 25 books that did not fit. So I decided today to switch it back, to move the history wall back to what was the history wall, and then move the manga back over to this wall. But that really didn't work out because of this infernal shelf. It just, as I was putting the manga back on that shelf, it did not want to cooperate. So I decided to just stop what I was doing, put the history back over here, and put the manga back over there. And I'm still not happy, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I could move the manga out into the hall, and then move the science fiction and fantasy that are in the hall over here, and then move the history back over there, because just this feels crowded. And there's not enough mangas. I mean, it's basically two completely empty bookcases, and 3/5 of another that it's empty. So it's just, I don't like it. So I don't quite know what I'm going to do. So I'll try to figure out and hopefully come to a decision this weekend and work week and work it out. And I will report back how it turns out. Although you will probably figure it out how I do with the background. What ends up happening. But anyway, other videos for next week. I might do a video where I talk about Conoley's Read What You Own challenge. I'm sorely, I don't know. Because, I mean, I'm pretty much, except for manga, I'm running out of space for pretty much everything. And so I need to either do a read what I own challenge, or more actually, I need a massive unhaul of about 100 books so that I have that space. I tried to make that video this past week, but it didn't quite work out. So I don't know if I ought to have another go at it. I want to do the Civil War tags. There was one that came out this past week, and there was an older one that I want to do too. So I was thinking of doing a double tag video for that. I want to do an original tag myself, and also get ready for 1000 video special. So anyway, BookTube, wish me luck for this weekend, because I feel this weekend is going to be fairly busy, and I might be a bit annoyed, and since I'm not going to be able to get as much reading as I would like to get done. But anyway, so anyway, BookTube, until I see you next week, thank you. Have a great rest of your evening and weekend, and stay safe.